JLR investigates. Come on in, everyone. Reporting from Auburndale, Florida, covering the Tonya Whipp case. Authorities are digging up the property of Russell Carroll. And we're talking about Tonya Whipp, the 38-year-old who went missing about a year ago. We've been covering this case extensively. They had the entire street blocked off, and authorities are digging up his property. This is what I'm told, a 3-day operation, up to 3-day operation, looking for any signs of missing 38-year-old Tonya Whipp. Tonya Whipp from Polk County, Florida, vanished about a year ago. Last seen with her boyfriend, Russell Carroll. We've been out here covering this case extensively. We've been searching days, searching for Tonya Whipp, live streaming, bringing awareness to Tonya Whipp. But authorities are here. Authorities are here, and I'm going to spin the camera around and just kind of monitor what's going on. Authorities been coming and going, and some media people already here. They got cameras playing out, so we're going to be live streaming and seeing what is going on out here. This is more or less a crime scene here in Polk County, Florida, Auburndale, Florida. This is Caroline Avenue. I am on Carolina Avenue. It is blocked off from anyone other than residents that can enter the property. But down there, how are we doing on reception? We okay on reception? Down there, that's the property of Russell Carroll, and we're gonna be out here seeing what's going on, monitoring this situation. We got good reception. Good afternoon. I'm in the shade, which is good. The family of Tonya Whipp, I mean, they've been demanding answers, and it's quite possible Tonya Whipp could be. Here comes more law enforcement. More law enforcement has arrived. It's quite possible Tonya Whipp could be somewhere on the property. Authorities put out, I'm going to get my other phone and read out what authorities said. They pretty much said that Russell Carroll is the only suspect in this case. The only one. So Tonya Whipp, she vanished about a year ago. Russell Carroll got arrested. Look at that. What does that guy say? Police, FDLE has arrived to the scene. So that guy had an FDLE shirt. Crime scene investigators here. So Tonya Whipp was 38. We talked about Russell Carroll extensively on JLR Investigates. He, he got convicted 20 years ago, something to, stabbing his prior girlfriend. And then, he had multiple violations of probation and whatnot. And eventually he got out. He got out at the beginning of 2023. And within 4 months, he's with Tonya Whipp and, new girlfriend, and Tonya Whipp vanishes. And she's still not been found. There has been numerous search organizations and groups out there looking for her. And, people have been searching for off and on in orange fields, along the lakes, a lot of lakes in this area. But it's quite possible Tonya Whipp is here at this location. Are we here? This is Auburndale, Florida. So I am in Auburndale, Florida. If you haven't looked up the case, please look it up. I'm going to go get my other phone. I'm going to share with you what exactly is going on. But authorities are here. They've been here now since, I believe, 8 a.m. I hear dogs barking. The whole block is blocked off. Let me get my other phone. So what I see in the background, folks, is the big giant Auburndale Police and FDLE tent or mobile command center that's set up. We'll see what comes out of this. We're going to stick around for a while and bring awareness to this particular case. And I'm also going to read you a new statement that came out by by law enforcement in reference to this case, according to court documents live at the scene. So what's going on, folks? Here's what's going on. Here's what's going on. Tonya Whipp, boyfriend of Tonya Whipp, is only suspect. The only suspect in her homicide investigation. They have a homicide investigation. She's missing, but this seems like it's a homicide investigation, the way it's being reported. So it said police have secured the home of Russell Carroll in Auburndale and may plan a search. This month will mark 1 year since anyone last or seen or heard of Tonya Whipp. New court documents filed from the state claim her boyfriend, Russell Carroll of Auburndale, is the only suspect that detectives have reached the conclusion that she is deceased. Auburndale police secured his home and said they're likely to search the home starting Saturday, today. The investigation has progressed to the point that the only suspect in the homicide investigation is Russell Carroll. The state wrote in its motion to increase the amounts increase the amount and conditions of bonds, because he's currently out in Polk County jail right now, or incarcerated for stealing her money after she went missing. It comes after Carroll was arrested earlier this week when officers said he used her financial accounts and redirected money to himself multiple times. Court documents state Carroll made cash withdrawals as far back as June 29, 2023. Now, that date is interesting because it's believed that she disappeared sometime at the end of May, early June. And she wasn't reported missing until a month later, the end of June. That's when the family of Tonya Whipp found out for the first time she was missing at the end of June. So it seems like he has started the cash withdrawals from her account June 29, 2023. Right now, Carroll is being held on a $35,000 bond for those charges. However, state prosecutors are asking for a higher amount based upon the flight risk of the defendant. In addition, the state added the defendant is aware he is the suspect in a homicide investigation and has reasons to flee. Carroll spoke with reporters in October and claimed his innocence. I have absolutely nothing to do with her disappearance, he said. He was arrested in 2003 and convicted of first-degree attempted murder of an ex-girlfriend. Carroll served time in prison before being put on supervised probation. However, in 2013, he was found to have violated the conditions of his probation. He was released in January 2023. Whipp went missing 4 months later. So that's what we got, folks. That's what we got here. JLR investigates. Now, I will add, let me add a few things here and talk a little bit more about this case. He was in court. He was in court. And we're talking about this guy right here. He was in court just the other day. We've made lots of videos, even in front of this guy's home, way back when it started, right? Way back when the family finally found out that she was missing. We were here at the beginning of July bringing awareness. I did a whole live report in front of this dude's home, and this is when her car was still here. What's wild about this case, folks, is While she was missing, her car and dog were still at Carroll's house. He never even reported anything at all. Now, he lives in a house here on Caroline Avenue with a brother named Preston Irons. I really thought something was suspicious with him from the beginning. I knocked on his door. He refused to talk. And here we are a year later, and now a year later, they're digging up his property, or at least searching. I don't know if they're digging up the property yet, but that's the talk. Like they're going to go over there. That's his house. His house is to the left. His house, pretty much, you could see where that flag is. I believe is beyond that fence there. That white fence is his house. Now, this is Polk County, folks. We know about Polk County. We call this Sheriff Grady Judd territory. We call this Grady Judd territory. And even though Auburndale police seem like they're the main people investigating this with the help, it looks like, of FDLE, I'm sure Polk County's also assisting. But they don't play in Polk County, folks. They don't play. Now, we made a video. Poor guy. We talked about a guy named Jake Rudy, who was unfairly targeted. And I believe he's 100% innocent. And this man, him and his girlfriend, Nikki, at the beginning stages of the searches, was out here looking for Tonya and was joining search groups. Then the focus became on him. And authorities came there for days and were digging up his trailer. And he's like, I got nothing to hide. I'm innocent. What are you talking about? And I saw a lot of posts that he was making about proclaiming his innocence and saying, they're searching I'm a volunteer. All I did was want to help and search. So I reached out to him, and then he invited me to his home, and that's when I interviewed him. I remember we interviewed him, and he shared his story. Now, I think what the reason why they got to him was because he had new information that changed the timeline of the situation. He was claiming that Tonya was at his house in the beginning of June with a guy named Snoop. Remember that name, Snoop? We used the name Snoop. Well, we theorized that, yes, Snoop and Tonya went there, but we also believe that at the time, and I looked and I talked and I interviewed Snoop's girlfriend, and Snoop's girlfriend told me Snoop didn't do anything to Tonya. He dropped her off back home, here, to this area, where Carroll lives. My speculation at that point was thinking that Tonya was so-called disloyal in Russell Carroll's mind to him, and Carroll probably did something to her when she returned home sometime in the beginning of June. That's my own speculation, but that seems like that's the situation. That's police. They waved. So they could bring out some evidence. We're going to wait and see what's going on. They could find something today, any minute. And we're going to monitor the situation here. It's very hot out in Florida today. I'm in the shade, thankfully. This is a shaded area. This area has lots of lakes. There is a couple other news outlets. I believe that one of the local Tampa Bay news people here, he said he remembers me at another crime scene that we were both covering in Tampa with the mom and the daughter that got murdered in the apartment complex. He's here. I see a volunteer search group called We Are the Essentials. I see them here. And that group has been out looking for Tonya a lot. Group organized searches. They're up in the cul-de-sac in the sun out there. Great question. I wonder what led them back here. It's probably because of just the suspicious purchases that Carroll was doing, taking money from Tonya all the way through, it looks like, earlier this year. And I think maybe that gave them probable cause to track his phone or see some phone trackings and pings or something, and they just, or it could be someone that's telling or cooperating. You know, somebody could be coming forward, a witness. Someone could be working with law enforcement and provided them a tip. Maybe even Carroll himself kind of shared something that got their antenna up. I'm sure Carroll was interrogated about his financial crimes that he's arrested in jail for now. I'm sure possibly that, you know, when he went in that interrogating room, he could have said something that triggered this response. Crime scene. Did they search here before? People are asking, did the law enforcement search the property before? I believe they did. I believe they did. To what extent? I don't know. Did they dig up the property? Did they dig through concrete? All I know is now it is a crime scene. We have a crime scene here in Florida. Auburndale, Florida. Saw a lot of social media posts about from Tonya Whipp's family. They're very vocal. Seems like they care for Tonya and want answers and accountability. I'll see if any neighbors are coming out. Like, if some neighbors are around, I'll see how the neighbors feel. I'll wait to see. They're going to let in a car here. Hi. How you feel about what's going on? You live around here? Is this the first time law enforcement was here in reference to?
No.
They were here before.
They were here when it was just missing.
Yeah, but like last year.
They were here like this, a lot of people blocking up the road.
They said they're going to be here for like 3 days.
They were here for more.
Do you know Russell Carroll?
No.
Nothing. Okay. Thank you. It's a neighbor. So, you know, as people, she doesn't know him. She lives on the block. She said they were here before, last year. Yeah, it's hot here. It's soupy. It feels soupy out here, man. Pray for the law enforcement out here that's searching. I mean, gonna be... I mean, it's shade there. The house is under shade, so that's a good thing. It's much better in the shade than it is in that sun. The sun is brutal, but, let's just say a prayer for all the officers out here. Say a prayer for all the Auburndale Police Department and local officials and FDLD and everybody that's out here, because, you know, it's probably, it's tough to do this work in the heat. Stay hydrated, you know, and hopefully they find something that can bring closure and answers and accountability. Closure for Tonya Whipp's family, and, you know, hold somebody accountable for it. It just shows, you know, sometimes in situations, cases, this is a year later. Sometimes it works a little slow in some people's eyes, but a lot of times, you see the sheriff's here. But justice does come. Justice does come. That's the sheriff. Polk County sheriffs are also here too. So we have 3 agencies here working on this. Unclear if Sheriff Grady Judd will come out here. Unclear on that. That's a Polk County sheriff. Officer in that vehicle is very, very friendly, by the way. I think his name was Maldonado. He waved hello. He's being very kind. They always assign, a lot of times when they do crime scenes on the streets, they always assign the one officer that has to stay at the patrol at the beginning and direct traffic or tell traffic, you know, only people that live on this block can go past this area. The road's not open to the public. But yeah, again, folks, you know, a year later, but, you know, sometimes justice moves this type of way. A lot of times law enforcement, you know, the things, we don't know what they do behind the scenes to build cases and to get to stages, right? A lot of the work, we never know what goes on behind the scenes, a lot. Sometimes they release things to us. Sometimes they release statements, vague statements. But justice does come eventually. And it looks like justice is coming in real time right now. Yes, everyone's saying a prayer for the Whipp family. For sure. Prayer for the Whipp family. All right, she's running for some reason. I don't know why she's running. They also, folks, look like they have a backhoe over there, like a backhoe, like some sort of digging. It's hard to see here, but I think they have a backhoe here too, or some sort of digging farm equipment here. So total, folks, I see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. It looks like I see 15 different law enforcement vehicles along this entire block. And it goes back pretty far. This goes to an dead end in a cul-de-sac. I see about 15 law enforcement vehicles here. I said on my live this morning, I said, I'm going to come out here and see what's going on. It's about an hour and a half from where I live. But we've you know, shared a lot about Tonya, and we've done searches ourselves along railroad tracks and along the orange fields and along the parks. Remember, we did some lives at the parks sharing Tonya. We did the best we can to bring awareness to this case, and here we are now. Here we are now. All right, we got a lot of law enforcement officers coming out. We might be letting this officer out. All right, there's that Polk County. Here comes the sheriff. Oh, look at this. What's going on here? They're pulling out some sort of equipment here. Sheriff's pulled out this cat. Are they going somewhere? All right, so they just pulled 3 officers out. 2 police officers, or a sheriff's vehicle and an additional sheriff's vehicle. And here comes another law enforcement pulling out. These are the vehicles that look like they're FDLE vehicles. I wonder where they're going. That was FDLE. Let's see what direction they're going. All right, so that was an undercover detectives. Unclear where everyone's going. All right, she had police. That's 2 people with police on their shirts. So there's another police vehicle that just arrived. So multiple left, 1 arrived. The fence right there, that's his property. Beyond the fence, that's his home. They have a tent set up in front of his home. You can't go much closer. What in the world's going on here, folks?
Please, and I'll be back. Anyone need anything? Drink or anything?
Thank you. Thank you. I'm good. Hey, on. right, so what I'm told, folks, I'm told that that piece of equipment that just got left out, that was here a couple hours ago. It was put off of the trailer there, and they went in his yard a little bit and did some work in his yard with that piece of equipment, and then they loaded it back up and they left. So I don't know what that means. I don't know if they had a specific target at the property that they were eyeing, that they needed this equipment to. I don't know what that equipment does. Does that break concrete? Does that dig? Both. And then they loaded it back up, and it was sitting on the trailer, and now they just loaded it out. Now, did they go to another location, or did they leave, or is their job done here? Ellie says it digs. So I was told it was off there, and it was in his yard for a little bit doing some work, and they brought it back out. Ike says, can we get a recap? We're talking about the case of 38-year-old Tonya Whipp. She vanished about a year ago, most likely from this location that you see with the white fence. That is the home of her boyfriend at the time, Russell Carroll, who is now considered the prime suspect and only suspect in the disappearance of Tonya. He has recently been arrested earlier this week for withdrawing money from her account after she went missing, and doing it multiple times all the way up through to the beginning of the year. A little back history on Russell Carroll. Russell Carroll was sentenced about 20 years ago for attempted murder of his then girlfriend, prior girlfriend. Paroled out, then violated, and then eventually got out of prison early 2023. And sometime within those months, he hooked up with Tonya, and then Tonya vanished. For the last year, off and on, there has been numerous searches all around the Auburndale, Polk County. This is Polk County. I am on Caroline Avenue and Martha Street. There has been numerous searches by organizations and just people in general. One of the groups that were out here looking for her was a group called We Are the Essentials. We Are the Essentials. I think their vehicle is over there, right there. We Are the Essentials, right there. So this group here has been out there numerous times organizing searches for Tonya, working with the family of Tonya. So you see on their vehicle there, missing person unit, We Are the Essentials, justice for Tonya. Other just local volunteers would come out. Now we don't know what, if anything, they have uncovered so far here. We're just gonna wait and see what happens out of this. We're gonna wait and see what comes in next. JLR, boots on the ground. But this is a reminder to all bad actors out there, and criminals and suspects. When it comes to missing persons cases, you might think you got away with it, and you think over time you're going to get away with it, but you're most likely not going to get away with it. And sometimes justice moves slow. You could say this was a little slow. Some people might think this is fast. 1 year later, they're here. They're here. He's in jail. They're going to try to increase his bond on the financial crimes, fearing that he could flee if he bonds out. And it seems like they know something. In order to do this, folks, you need probable cause. You need probable cause to be able to start digging up and securing a property. So they have something. And they had to get something, probable cause for a judge to sign off to allow them to do this search warrant. Will Russell Carroll bond out? And that's a possibility too. I don't know You know, if they if he has the money, I think his bond is what, 35,000. That's 3,500, 10%. I mean, that, most people could probably bond out with 10%. They're trying to increase it, and if he bonds out, would he flee? And that's the concern of prosecutors. He would flee. A lot of people are speculating what that machinery is. Will they bring in more machinery? Is this it? As we saw, a few law enforcement vehicles left. One came in. This is the only way in and out of the neighborhood on this street. Magnolia put in the chat, LE provided a major update yesterday. They said Tonya Whipp is presumed dead and her boyfriend, Russell Carroll, is the only suspect. They are executing search warrants now. Thank you, Ruby Raven. Justice has begun for this lady, and I'm so happy for you, JLR and Magnolia. Thank you. Magnolia is here with me. Magnolia is running the chat right now and pinning comments and keeping our chat family friendly. People I've said in the is the coroner here, and that's a great question. I do not believe the coroner's here. That's another officer there. He has a badge. That looks like that's FDLE. That's here. I do not believe the coroner is here. Okay, yeah, FDLE. They have FDLE on their shirt. They're getting in their car. Florida Department of Law Enforcement, FDLE. Looks like they're leaving too. You're it remote. Thank you for the support. Thank you everyone for the support. Some people was commenting blue and orange comments. I haven't read them all, but I appreciate each and every one of you as we stand for victims, justice for victims, and bring awareness to unsolved crimes that go on throughout the United States. JLR investigates. This is about an hour and a half from my location. This is Polk County, Florida, Central Florida, right off of, probably about 5 or 6 miles off of I-4. They waved. Those guys were very friendly. Yeah, I just commend law enforcement, in this particular area. I've seen all of them just very friendly, courteous, professional, taking their jobs seriously. So I just want to commend them for that. That's what I've been seeing thus far. Just law enforcement, just nice law enforcement. They're interacting with the neighbors. They're letting neighbors know what's going on. Kudos to law enforcement. We support law enforcement on JLR Investigates. I mean, they got a tough job. A lot of them in different agencies have policies, rules, and procedures on how they handle things. And overall, and kudos to law enforcement, their families. I just think it's fascinating how they find suspects, arrest suspects, in the process of arresting people and holding people accountable. And then, passing that information over to the second phase, which would be the prosecution. And then a prosecution laying out cases. It's awesome. It's phenomenal to see, and I'm always rooting Always rooting for law enforcement. We don't talk bad about law enforcement on JLR Investigates. You know, there is, you know, sometimes bad apples in the mix, but law enforcement is our line of defense. Another one just entered the car. It looks like another resident here is trying to get into his home. There's a resident. See, what happens is residents behind me, they pull in, and then this law enforcement will come out and tell them, you know, where you going, where do you go? Maybe not this one, but people would come, and then sometimes they turn around. Looks like that one's turning around. Also, folks, we get to see firsthand what crime scenes look like in the process, right? The process of how this all goes down and what they do and who comes in and how they secure areas. And it's always good to see this in real time. Yeah, it's hot. People keep saying the heat index in the hundreds. It's hot. It's low. It's really soupy. A lot of bugs. This is Florida. This is the Florida swamp. There's still some unsolved cases in this area. We're talking about Nicole Baldwin we've been covering. You know, that's not far from here. Actually, this location is not far from Madeline Soto case and Stephon Stearns. Kudos to Magnolia for providing me this drink. Thank you, Magnolia. Magnolia brought me a drink. Very, very grateful. You must stay hydrated. Your body can go downhill fast. This is like carbonated water, but it's really, really refreshing. I love justice. I am fascinated, and I like to see victims' families get justice. You know, and I'm very passionate. You guys know on JLR Investigates, we call out the defendants. We go right to the defendants' faces. We shame them. A lot of people don't like that tactic. However, you know, speaking to victims' families throughout the country in different cases, and I feel their pain, and I can't imagine what a lot of them go through, and it's just horrible that lives get disrupted because of evil actions of someone, a particular people, whatever. One person can seriously disrupt families' lives forever, generation. So there's no shame on JLR Investigates in shaming defendants. That's just how I roll. That's what I do. We don't keep that a secret. I've been here now for 45 minutes. I started the stream. You know, I was here about maybe 55 minutes. I started the stream 45 minutes ago. You get to see a little bit of Florida wildlife. They've been here since this morning. They started, well, I believe they secured the home last night. And then said, hey, we're going to work starting Saturday. I'm told this is a possible 3-day operation. So as long as they don't find nothing, they could be out here for 3 days. All right, so that's more law enforcement. More law enforcement has arrived. That's FDLE, Florida Department of Law Enforcement. FDLE has arrived. Another one. They're already here. They have a law enforcement command center. Here comes another one that is coming back. These are the same individuals that left before, so I'm figuring they went and take a break around the corner, some gas stations. So they might have went and used the restroom. But they're back. Law enforcement is back. FDLE is back. Yep, law enforcement, they are back. They look like CSI type of people. CSI. But on the back of, there's a van, there's a big mobile command center. It's hard to see. You can see the top of it. Kind of looks like a food cart. That says law enforcement. It's like a crime scene investigated law enforcement trailer. We are hot right now, so if the stream goes bad, I'll have to redo. It says the phone is overheating, so we got to be careful. Very, very hot out here. So if this stream goes off, I'll restream as soon as I get a cool down. Definitely hot out here in this area in Florida. We're just gonna monitor this. JLR investigates. Yeah, on my back? You guys hear me? We hear you now. Awesome. Yeah, so I had to go in here the vehicle to cool the phone off. JLR investigates live at the crime scene here in Polk County, Florida. I need my cord. Black cord. All right. Put this in. Okay. Yeah, we're back, folks, and we're just gonna wait a little bit and see what happens. I had to step out because it was so hot out there. Got one camera here. They got a couple of news people here. Dogs. People were saying the dogs were barking. So the dogs was neighbors. I do not believe there's cadaver dogs here that I've seen. I was considering following the cop cars as they were leaving, but really I believe that they just went around the corner to use the restroom and or get something to eat and drink or get gas. I don't think they were... I mean, two of them have already came back. The one that did leave was the... see, he's leaving. He's media. The one that did leave and hasn't been back is the one with the backhoe equipment. So I am on the corner of Caroline and Martha Street in Auburndale, Florida, covering the case of Tonya Whipp. And in real time, folks, they are right now searching the property at that white fence that you see in the background. They're searching the property of Russell Carroll. Tonya was 38 years old. She is presumed dead. Here comes more law enforcement. That's FDLE. This is a case out of Polk County. Her boyfriend is the prime and only suspect in the disappearance of Tonya. The boyfriend. So we're like, what in the world's going on here in Polk County? Was this the missing mom from Germany? No, that would be Nicole Baldwin. And Nicole Baldwin is still missing. It's not far from here. That's Lake County. This is Polk County. It's about an hour north of here. Hour or so. But FDLE is also involved with that case, along with the Mount Dora Police Department. So, yeah, these are the two cases. You know, a lot of cases in Florida, being from Florida, you know, we cover. And, you know, we always come out and bring awareness and try our best and use our platform. I can tell you that, you know, the video that I made about Russell Carroll last year, he didn't like. But look where we're at now. We were spot on with our assessment of him as being the suspect. We called it out as it is in July of last year, calling him flat out a suspect. And look where we're at. They're back here at square one. And he is now the one and only suspect in the disappearance of Tonya Whipp, who's presumed dead. And I do not believe, folks, that they're searching other properties or other locations. I think this is the sole and only location, which I find is very interesting too. So they must have something here at this guy's house. They must have something to indicate what in the world is going on. They have to have some sort of evidence. You can't just dig up somebody's property. You have to tell a judge. So did he say something once he got arrested? Once he got arrested the other day for the financial crimes, did he implicate himself in a bigger scheme? Or did they uncover more evidence once they arrested him to get a judge to sign off on this? That's definitely a possibility too. I hope they find something too. Polk County, Florida. Auburndale. There's a lot of lakes around here, a lot of ponds, marshes, streams. It's swampy like. Lake County would be Nicole Baldwin case. That would be Mount Dora. That'd be Mount Dora. Trying to wait for the vehicle to cool down a little bit. Yeah, Polk County don't play, man. You know, do not believe this is a Polk. I don't believe this is a Grady Judd-led operation. But nevertheless, we know that Polk County do not play. This is Auburndale. I wonder what Jake Rudy feels about the situation. And Jake Rudy is a local that was, I would say at this point, wrongfully accused. Jake Rudy is the one that they tore up his property. He actually tipped me off a couple days ago that Russell got arrested. He got wind before the media got wind. We got Amazon here, Amazon Prime. But he got wind of it days ago that Russell got arrested, and he tipped me off. And I knew about this a few days ago before the media, but I was going around. I actually sent out a email to the Auburndale police chief confirming he's been arrested, because I looked in the Polk County jail database. I looked in the rest, Polk County new cases, and I didn't find anything on him or Preston Irons, the other person that lives in the house here. There's 2 people that live in the house. All right, so he's letting Amazon go. I wonder who got the package. I wonder if Russell Carroll got a package. They might be back here tomorrow if they don't find anything today. They might be looking for anything like any evidence of DNA. There is a forensic team in there. They were doing some digging earlier. I am the only media here now, I believe. I think there was people here prior to me coming. I don't think anyone else is here. I see a lot of people in the chat. A lot of members. How are you guys, members? How are you? I see all my favorite members. JLR Army. I just love the moment when, accountability comes. I'm a guy that loves to see accountability. I love to see people held accountable for their bad actions. And I love it when the victims' families can get some sort of justice. That's what we're here for. Justice. And then at the same time showing you what's going on in real time. I'm reading your comments as they're coming along. Yeah, I do believe that I am the only media here now. They were here before me. Magnolia let me know about what was going on here as far as the search warrant this morning after I got up. Obviously, we were talking about Sebastian Rogers today. I'll be talking about Micah Miller later on today. But I was like, man, let's go out and go see what's going on to at least see what's up. Every state is different in the way they're adjusted, how law enforcement works, The state of Florida is getting a reputation of, very tough on crime. Regardless of how you feel about, Governor DeSantis of the state of Florida, however you feel politically with him, what he has been doing is transforming and signing laws and bills into play within the last 2 years that just been more, pro law enforcement, more, more for victims. Case in point, he made it a crime if any criminal hurts a dog, like an LE dog. When they get the dogs and their dog handlers. Well, apparently there was a terrible tragedy where a dog was chasing down a suspect and the dog died, or something similar. In that, I don't know which case that is offhand, but they created a law basically is if you harm a dog, a law enforcement dog, in the process of escaping justice, whatever like that, you're going to be held accountable. So it was almost like he's protecting law enforcement dogs, cadaver dogs. Another thing he did was sign a bill. It's a capital crime now if you do under criminal acts, battery under children under the age of 12. And that's probably one of the reasons why Stephon Stearns is going to, we're talking about Stephon Stearns. Thank you. I just saw that come through. That is Justice Collector Gene Kale. Thank you, Gene. Making it a capital crime if you do something under children under the age of 12. Stearns is facing big trouble. And we're talking about the Madeline Soto case. Another bill that he did was in death penalty phases. The jury doesn't have to be unanimous anymore. It just has to be, I think, 8 out of 12. or something. You know, it doesn't have to be an unanimous jury to recommend the death penalty. And they did that because, you know, with the Nicholas Cruz case down there in Parkland, the Parkland school shooting, you know, there was one lone holdout juror that said, no, we're not going to sentence him to death. And everybody wanted that. And, you know, there was outrage because he got life in prison instead. So it's just things like that. Those are some of the examples I shared with you. There's many more. There's a couple I can think of offhand. But it's definitely become a pro-law enforcement. I mean, we're talking about, you know, in reference to blocking traffic. You know, people, there's issues all around the country with protesting. Some people think it's good, some people it's bad. But, you know, there was cases where protesters would be shutting down, you know, bridges and shutting down traffic and shutting down roads. You know, the governor here in the state made it a crime, basically, and gives them law enforcement. They'll pull you right out of the streets and arrest you for it. So it's just things like that. It's like, well, in Florida, it's tough on crime. Also, Florida, you know, reference the Sunshine Law request. You heard the term Florida man. Florida man, Florida man, Florida man. We always hear the weird stuff coming out of Florida. Well, the reason for that is because Florida is very open and transparent with their records. You could get body cam, mugshots, affidavits, all types of records. Very, very easy in Florida. Some states are very restrictive. This is a very open state when it comes to that. Look, we just heard the Stephon Stearns police interrogation the other day. We saw last month the Stephon Stearns vehicle being transported in a sheriff's vehicle. In Florida, they'll record when defendants get processed and fingerprinted at jails. It's really open. So it is definitely a pro-law, and it's great for us to get openness and transparency. Justice Collector, welcome to media. Thank you. So as law enforcement in the state, they're tough. The penalties are tough. And if you do a crime in Florida, a horrendous crime, you're in big trouble in the state of Florida. And honestly, I do think the governor is very fair in reference to he was on the Clemency Parole Pardon Board Commission. And I feel he's fair with people. If you mess up and make a mistake in the state of Florida, have a drug case or do some bonehead decision, they'll give you chances in the state of Florida. But if you're a repeat offender and you do a horrendous crime, it's over for you in the state of Florida now. It literally is. And law enforcement has the tools, the technology to catch you. Another thing the governor just did the other day, believe it or not, to help combat human trafficking, he signed a bill that banned you have to be 21 or older to be a stripper in a strip club because he wanted to stop human trafficking. Now, I say ban all strip clubs. I hate strip clubs. I say ban them all, but it's good. Well, there's not much activity going on right now other than the street blocked off. I'm waiting to see who arrives, who leaves. Probable cause is uploaded on Tonya Whipp missing Facebook page by her family. Let me go on my Facebook and see if I can get that. And see, and read that out to you, the probable cause. I'm looking on that page. Well, yeah, they have, there is a motion with the prosecutor to motion to increase amounts of condition of bond. And they're trying to increase his bond because they feel his bond is too low and he is more or less the prime suspect and the only suspect in the disappearance of Tonya Whipp. So they want to increase his bond. It's wild, though, because this guy, Russell Carroll, he did a crime. He did a crime in 2004 when he attempted first-degree murder of his girlfriend. He was sentenced to 10 years imprisonment, followed by 15 years of supervised probation. So he got out in 2012. So he got out, looks like 8 years later. And then it says he violated his probation. Unclear what he did. But they gave him 20 years imprisonment for the violation. And he got out in 2023. Which would be, he actually got out January 30th, 2023. So he got out of prison. Russell Carroll, the suspect here, the house that you see in the background by the white fence, they're searching his house. He got out of prison after serving almost 20 years for attempting attempted murder. He stabbed his ex-girlfriend. He gets out in January 30th, 2023, and 4 months later, Tonya Whipp, his new girlfriend, goes missing. You got to be kidding me. That is completely wild, folks. We got more law enforcement came. Here comes another law enforcement. They had FDLE on their I think this was another one too. This guy here had some sort of FDLE uniform on. So more law enforcement are arriving. We're at 2:27 p.m. Hello, everyone. JLR investigates. Oh, I bet they're tearing his house apart. Now, he also lives with a guy named Preston Irons, which is his brother. He's kind of like a, to me, shady character. There's not much on him, much or shadowy character. And I won't say shady, but he's probably shady because, he knows what his brother did, right? You think his brother kept a secret? Maybe he's even involved. Maybe he's the one that cooperated. Not much social media presence on him, but there is someone that lives in that house too by the name of Preston Irons. Gotcha. Someone was telling me that Preston Irons is right to me in a truck. Now he's talking to somebody. Interesting. Very, very interesting. Interesting. They might even be watching JLR Investigates right now. Hey, Preston, if you're listening, come over and say hi. Let's talk. What is going on with Russell Carroll? What's going on with him? Could be watching, because as soon as I said his name, he looked over here. He's behind me in a truck. But he's also talking to some people, so I'm not going to interrupt this conversation. Also, folks, people, when they search people's homes, they tell all the occupants to leave the home. He might not have access to his house for days. If they don't come up with nothing today, they're coming back tomorrow. That's what they're saying. I was told this is a 3-day operation, up to a 3-day operation. Very, very interesting. JLR boots on the ground here in Auburndale, Florida, Polk County, covering the case of Tonya Whipp. How come SSI keeps paying benefits in a missing person case for months? And that's a great question. I wondered that. That's a great question. Why was SSI still paying Tonya Whipp when she went missing? Why didn't they cut it off? Well, maybe they trapped Russell. Maybe they kept her Social Security payments going to see if he would use the money. You know, it's very enticing there. All right, so we got a City of Auburndale trailer coming in right now. We got something going on here, folks, right in front of me. And it's a trailer. Nothing's on the trailer. This is interesting. What do we got going on here? That's at City of Auburndale. But that's a great question. Why did SSI allow her Social Security payments to still be distributed when she went missing? Or is it just one hand doesn't know what the left hand's doing and Social Security not aware? But that seems like that was the break, right? He sees money. He has access to her account. Oh, look, I'm going to take some money. Maybe law enforcement figured he would do that, and that's a way to get him on something. It's a possibility. Or no death certificate. Technically, they can't cut it off. I mean, maybe Social Security's hands were tied, and they were like, well, she's not dead. Therefore, she's still entitled to the money until maybe one agency can't tell what another agency what to do. Maybe law enforcement didn't even know, and they finally found that out. And they're like, oh my gosh, he's been collecting. Because if he would have collected money for the first time, here's the thing too, folks. They're saying that he took money out of her account for the first time June 29th. Well, why didn't they arrest him there for taking out money back in June 29th? Cinnabee says SSI won't stop unless a death certificate or you lose your benefits. Those are great questions, though. It's almost like police. If police know you commit a crime, will they just sit there and not do nothing and wait for you to commit more crimes before they arrest you? Shouldn't they arrest you when you commit the crime for the first time? All right, so we might be cutting off, folks. My thing says my phone is cooling down. I think we're going to go through a cooling down phase here. I think we're going to be going through a cooling down phase. It's very hot here. All right, I'm signing off. I'll be back in a bit. JLR investigates. Out here on the scene. I'm going to cool my phone off. I'll be back in a bit. Thanks for watching, everyone. Justice for Tonya Whipp.